What is up, guys? It's going to be a longer video, a more serious video. This is going to be about managing tilt in the middle of a session. Something all of you have probably experienced. If not, you will. And you're going to experience it a lot. And what you're going to see in this video is I'm going to start off the day very rough. You're going to see 3 losers in a row. And then I start to get tilted. And then I do something in the middle of the session to basically turn the tilt off, calm down, and then I come back and start digging my way out of the hole I dug. And then I end up crushing the end of the day with a 71 tick trade, and it only goes against me 1 tick. And this is such an amazing learning lesson. And the highlight of the video is not the trades, and we're going to look at a lot of trades. And that'll be cool, that'll be awesome for those of you who like to see that. But what I want you to understand, what the context of this video is, what the message is I'm trying to get across to you. And that is what I did to basically stop my emotions from making me hurt myself even more. And what you guys need to understand is when I'm on this channel, I share a lot of really good stuff. I share a lot of these montage trades, okay? It may mislead people. Some of you may think I'm a lot better than I am. You have to understand I am still developing. When I share really good trades, I'm sharing these things in a playbook style. I think a lot of the community should be doing this type of thing. I've been inspired by S&B Capital because that's what they do on their channel. They've been doing a lot of this with their developing traders where they share their best stuff and they break it down. So when you guys are seeing these really good trades, I'm showing you some of the best stuff I have, and I'm breaking it down. I'm letting you know what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing. This way, hopefully, you might learn something. You might have a takeaway from my best stuff. But you got to understand, again, I am developing. I still make stupid mistakes, guys. And you're going to see some stupid mistakes here, okay? So, full transparency, that's what's going on. We're going to learn from that. We're definitely going to learn from that. Now, one thing I want to say is I start the day off by journaling. There's 3 things I go over. I go over my emotions, how I feel physically, and my confidence. I did not get good sleep the prior night before this trading session. Physically, I was very tired, so I wrote that down. My emotions were subpar. I wasn't super stoked or anything like that. I just was not feeling all that well emotionally. And my confidence was subpar. Usually my confidence is slightly neutral, slightly higher than neutral. I'm not ever super confident. But usually I have this baseline when it comes to confidence. My confidence was pretty low, and I wrote that down. And right there, that should say a lot. I knew that going into the trading session, it might be a bit rougher. And I need to be aware of this. And by writing these things down, I know my performance may not be there. And I realized this going into the session. So what I was telling myself was, we need to be extra careful. Let's not be as aggressive. And when I start taking these losing trades, I am a sloppier. And I'm a lot slower. And you're going to see that. A lot of mistakes I shouldn't be doing, but at the same time, I am taking trades in areas I need to be taking trades, except for, I believe, trade number 2, which we'll go over. Anyways, let's just go ahead and go over it now, and then I'll start walking you through everything and explaining as we go. So here we go. This is, again, I don't think I said it, December 10th. So this is actually yesterday. So what you guys... Contextually, let's kind of go over what you're seeing here. You have a nice bell curve here. It's pretty neutral. You see this yellow box here. Looks like my screen is somewhat covering it. We're starting to sell off, and this is at 8:45 a.m., so 15 minutes after the open. we're starting to sell off here, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to get along right on the edge of this yellow box, and it makes sense. That's what the setup calls for. You know, you got this giant neutral profile here. In theory, it should pull its way back to the center of it. So let's go ahead and just kind of watch it pan out. Also, this is rollover, so I'm going to pause it real quick. This is also rollover. I didn't realize that the next month contract is apparently thicker. The book is a lot thinner. It's a lot jerkier. You just have... Rollover has its own... It's tricky at times. Let's put it that way. Rollover can be tricky at times. It obviously can be volatile, but it's this jerky volatility at times. So the price is jumping down, and it shoots through where I want to get long. So when we're coming to an area on the bottom side of where I want to trade, if it's falling in a very rapid motion, I don't immediately start trying to fade it back long. I want to let it kind of pan out and churn a little bit. It's one thing if it came down there real slow, but when it's stabbing through it really quickly, I need to let it kind of churn a bit. So I don't immediately long it here. It kind of bled a little bit too much through the area I was looking. Now it's starting to pop up a little bit, and for whatever reason, this window shoved up. As you can see, my mouse is tracking the spread. So I'm getting ready to hit it once something confirms it on the tape. I'm waiting. So this happens a lot when, especially on the downside, when the market starts to stab at an entry, it'll pop back up like this, and it may either continue to run, but most of the time, especially of recent times, I guess you could say, it starts to recede its way back in. So it almost seems like it's really probing on both sides. So I'm waiting. I want it to start to churn back upward. Here I go. This trade was called for. And here's the thing. What you might notice is I cancel out my stop. So what I'm doing is I get filled right there. And I am immediately slamming the cancel button, because I don't want this other set of contracts to get filled. And it removes my stop when I hit the cancel button. But I didn't want that other set right there to get filled. So I'm kind of just watching it. Now it's not really having that pressure on the upside. That's not really all that good. Just because the stop's gone doesn't mean I'm not going to try to get out right somewhere is in this area. So you can see I cut it. I ended up hitting a market order button to cut the deal. And that's roughly where I wanted to get out anyways. If it wasn't working, it wasn't. It was just starting to float and hover right under the area that I'm looking. So theoretically, that is a stop out at that point. So I cut the trade right roughly where the stop would have been anyways. And again, that's like an emergency stop. So I'm still watching it. There's good buying here. Right here at 93-ish, I believe 93 even. I wanted to go on to 93 and hold bid. There's good buying, but we just can't get in there. There's just not enough pressure. And this, I don't like this. As you can see, it's probing down here multiples of times. I want to know, is it going to bottom tick? And I do mention this in one of my flow state videos. I think it might be the first or second one. I don't know. They're short videos, but this same sort of pattern happened on one of those trades. And it's not like a tradable pattern per se. It's just something I'm watching for. And then now the market's sinking down. So this setup might still be here, but this isn't a good sign. I'm just being patient. It zips up. But it immediately starts receding in. So that means, to me, the bids are weaker and it's starting to pull away. And now it's starting to go further than it should be going. And this setup is starting to no longer become valid. So what I would be looking for at this point is I'd be looking to get short if it can pull back to this area. So we're going to continue to watch it, and this is where you're going to see me make really a really bad decision. This is more of a FOMO-based decision. Again, I am still developing. I make mistakes. Understand this, okay? So we're clear here. Anyways, let's continue to watch this thing. And I'm sorry if the mic gets loud. I'm actually using a new mic. Well, it's not a new mic. It's a mic I've had, but I want to make sure, I want to see if I can get better sound quality out of this thing. So sorry if this is making a bunch of noise. Okay, so what's happening here is it's coming in the VWAP. It's starting to bounce VWAP. So to me, it's like, well, this trade might be in play. Typically, I like to hit pullbacks. I don't like to enter trades on VWAP, but in this instance, I start to experience a bit of FOMO. I'm being patient, which is good, but this is just not a quality area for me to be setting up. So I will be entering here in just a moment. Let's continue to watch this. Let me see. So it's shooting up. That's right. And now that I'm rewatching it, all the memories are flooding back. So this is sort of the pullback. I'm waiting for the pullback up here. And it just never quite gets to where I want. So I'm still waiting for that pullback. And at some point, I'm starting to think this might be the pullback. So here we go. I'm waiting for that pullback still. Still waiting for that pullback. I'm looking for a little bit of a better pullback, a few more ticks higher. Not happening. Not happening. And then when it starts to drop back down to the 89s, like it's doing now, I'm thinking, oh, this might have been the pullback. Because sometimes you get pullbacks on trades. Sometimes you get pullbacks on trades and it doesn't quite hit the exact price you're looking for. Because, I mean, this stuff is never super perfect, super precise. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is the pullback. Let's start getting short. And the volume's coming in high enough that to me, in this moment, it makes sense. I cancel that order immediately. This sweeps back up like this. Go and cancel the stop. I don't really know why I did that, to be honest with you. But either way, I'm still going to manage my way out of it. I'm not going to just let it bleed against me terribly. And we're about to see that. So now it's starting to look good. Again, and it's just shooting up so easy. So at this point, I just market order out. Now we theoretically have 2 stops on deck. 2 back-to-back stops. And I don't like getting stopped out. So that definitely, that pressure is starting to build up right in here. You guys, those of you who've experienced tilt, understand what that is, or just getting upset. You start to feel it build up inside of here. And honestly, just getting in on VWAP, it wasn't a good idea. It was FOMO. That was not an okay trade. The first trade you saw where I took a loss, that was a good loss, in my opinion. That was a good loss because I did what I was supposed to, where I was supposed to do it. This second trade was not a good trade. I should have never done that. So what's going to happen now is, what time is it? It is 8:49. So the next trade is going to be at, 8:51. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start to fast forward this ever so slightly. But what's good is I'm being patient. Okay, and I want to really talk about this. What's good is I'm not just clicking my brains away. And And those of you, I really encourage you guys to go watch my New Year's resolution video from 2020. I'm putting it right up here. I talk about how one of my resolutions for the year of 2021 is to become a lot more patient. Okay? And I've gotten substantially better at it. And I'm not immediately trying to get back what I'm losing. I'm trying to be very patient. But again, I'm not at 100%. And I mentioned that with the trading journal. I'm not at 100% right now. And I am being sloppy. Okay? So, however, I'm still being relatively patient. And this is some kooky volatility because it's moving around on basically nothing at times. And this is the challenges of rollover. Some traders don't like to trade rollover. I can understand why. Here we go. We are tagging my area exactly where I would want it to get. But again, as I said before, it's kind of coming up with a lot of velocity. I don't want to get in it immediately. I want it to start to recede and pull down a little bit before I start to get into it. And this is where I think the skills of being a scalper helps get into bigger trades because you're able to fight your way into entries. However, with this volatility, it certainly makes it harder. So keep that in mind. So I'm waiting patiently. It's exactly where I would want to be getting short. The tape is a little too blue. It's embedding on it. Little too blue. Little too blue. Still waiting, being very patient. The pace is really increasing here. Now it's starting to come back up. So this is where I can get in trouble at times. I may have a specific price where I start flip-flopping. I'm long, I'm short, I'm long, I'm short on the deal. So for me, well, let's play it. And that definitely can get you into trouble, especially when an entry is being really chopped. And I can't remember what exactly I do. This is my first time really reviewing this, so it looks like I do go long. Because, and saying it is helping me remember. So, that's what I was thinking, yeah. Honestly, this is the pullback, and now that I'm looking at it, I see why I was going long. Honestly, this would have been the pullback to get short, in theory. But I'm looking at VWAP, and I'm like, well, you know what? It bounced VWAP, and sometimes you have these sessions where the VWAP gets hit, it rotates it, and it just zooms the other way. So that was my thinking. And again, my original plan was to get long here. Really, I should have let it kind of go through it and then pull back instead of doing this. This is more aggressive. But I'm just too fucking slow to be trading like this on this specific day. So I go for it because it's tweaking, it's dancing. It just has this embedding feel to it. There it goes. It's looking good. Great tape. So it is a good entry. Right? But it's really hesitating. Notice how you got all these bigger buys coming in, but we're just not... It just keeps receding. And it's not even like really receding on sell orders. It's like these bids are pulling. It just feels very weak, and it feels like it could shove through at a very rapid pace. I do realize, so theoretically, this is where I should have been getting long, is waiting for that pullback and then starting to get long here. And when I'm not saying get long right away because it kind of shoots through the level. You can see it here. It kind of just probes through it really, really quickly. So at this point, if in hindsight, and what I should have done to execute it better was let it start to rotate back in. If I was to re-enter this, okay, this is a hypothetical re-entry. And this is a trade review, guys. This is, people ask me, how do you do trade reviews and stuff? This is exactly how you do it. This is my first time looking at this. And I'm breaking down my mistakes here. and then I just take the whole deal off right there. So it's gone. There's the third stop out. Okay? So theoretically, when it came up like this, it came down. I should have waited to get long. I was being more aggressive here, and that's fine. That's fine to be more aggressive there, but what I should have done was start cutting it at a break even. But then again, it started to sink in. I mean, that's really a tricky call, to be honest with you, and trade management will never be perfect. So what I want to do is that is everything. Let me start pulling up the next video clip here, which is going to be later in the day. Let's see. So that was at 8:52. So we're going to go in the future to 9:08. Okay. So let's talk about something here, and this is the most important part of the video. Okay, this is the most important part of the video. At this point, I'm upset. I'm tilted. And I'm really feeling it. Taking 3 stops in a row like that, first and foremost, is not good. And I need to let you guys know I don't look at the P&L during a session. But when you're not looking at a P&L and you're taking loss after loss, I know roughly where I'm at on the P&L. So I'm knowing in here, right? I'm knowing what that P&L might look like. And that's starting to get me tilted at this point, okay? And the problem with getting tilted is the blood starts to flow away from the part of the brain that is making logical decisions. And when you're angry and tilted, you're no longer able to really make good decisions. And that's one of the worst things that can happen in trading. Pardon me, I'm going to adjust here. I'm being such a gentleman on this video. That's how I am sometimes, right? For those of you who think I can't be professional, go fuck yourself. I can. Just kidding. I love you. Love my haters too. Anyways, so how to do that? How to be a little silly. So anyways, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So being tilt, again, the blood's flowing away from the brain. That's one of the worst things that can happen in your trading. And I've spent so much time and so much effort trying to become more aware of how I feel in a trading session. And this is the importance of journaling. Most traders think journaling is the dumbest fucking shit, or they're too lazy to fucking do it. But it helps substantially, and there's a reason that more experienced traders advocate it all the fucking time. One of the biggest hurdles in your trading career is going to be these emotions, this psychological mind fuck when it comes to trading the markets. And you've got to do something about it. And I don't think people are designed to be able to handle this, right? This is a lot of pressure, right? Losing a lot of money relatively quickly. That's not a good thing. So I knew that I was not feeling well. I knew that I took 3 losses in a row, and it's one thing to take 1 loss in a row. That's not a big deal. 1 loss in a row. It's one thing to take 1 loss. 2 losses, I can kind of handle that. Okay. But when I get hit with the three, it's just like getting punched in the chest. And I'm getting upset. I'm like, ugh, you know what I mean? And it's like, fuck, dude, the setup's not working. The setup's not working, right? And if we look at this chart, it's now becoming neutral down here. So what I'm noticing is, shit, this has like a double distribution feel to it. Oh, the setup, it's a good setup, right? I know my setups have a statistical edge to them, but it's not working. And here's the thing, and this happened to me in the summertime. I have another setup that I've traded for a very long time that also has statistical edge to it. And I remember one time in the summertime, I took fucking 5 losses on this setup in a row. And I was still confident in it because I knew what it was. I'm like, okay, well, you know what, Fat Cat, you took 5 losses in a row. Let's continue to trade it the way we're supposed to. Part of the reason it wasn't working was because you were trading it in low volume, and it doesn't perform as well in low volume. And, you know, the summertime can be a real fucking shit fest with the volume being so low. But at the end of the month, when I looked at that specific trade, statistically, it did really well. And that's the thing. And for those of you who are newer, you got to understand this. When you're trading specific systems and setups, you're going to take several losses in a row at time. It's like flipping a coin, right? If you were to flip a coin, and this is very important with what I'm trying to talk about here, if you're to flip a coin and you're to make $1.50 every time it lands on heads, and you're to lose $1 every time it lands on tails, well, all of you would take that bet, right? Because if you flip that coin enough times, you're gonna make money. Because you have a slight edge. You have a 50-cent edge every time that coin lands on heads compared to what you're losing, right? So when you're trading specific setups, there are times where that specific setup might lose 4, 5, 6 times in a row. Same thing if you were to flip that coin. If you knew the statistical edge on that coin, all of you would be taking that bet. And if that coin starts losing 5, 6 times in a row, you would feel nervous, naturally. But if you knew that if you flip the coin enough times, eventually, over the long run, that equity curve would go up. That is positive expectancy. So I know the specific setup I'm trading here has positive expectancy through my stat tracking. I know this setup has positive expectancy. That's what's giving me the confidence to trade it. And this example, it's just not working. It's just not working, and it's not working multiple times in a row. Don't get me wrong, trade 2 was a mistake. I should never done that, to be honest with you. That was not an A+ setup. And when you're not feeling well, do not take A+ setups. I think that's a huge takeaway right there. And I was just too slow on this other trade. Should have waited for that slight pullback. And had I waited, it would have been telling me this is not good. So I'm gaining confidence as I develop into trusting what I'm doing. And here's the problem with a lot of newer traders or just traders in general. You cannot be, if you're gonna try to see if some sort of setup has edge, you have to keep trading it. And until you get statistics over a longer period of time, okay, one day is not enough to see if a trade setup has edge. A week is not enough to see if a trade setup has an edge. A month is pretty decent, but after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, seeing if this specific setup has statistical edge, you just have to do it over a longer period of time just to see if a setup has edge. And obviously, performing and executing that plan as precise as possible is very important. Because if you're trading a specific setup and you're being sloppy about it, that's going to fuck your results, and that's not good. So when traders review their trades, we tend to review our trades in hindsight, like I should have held it here, or I should have never done this, or I should have done that. You shouldn't be doing that. And I learned that this year, that don't review your trades in hindsight. What you need to be doing is reviewing your trades from the perspective of, did I do what I was supposed to where I was supposed to do it? That's it. And the first loss, like I said, was a good loss because I did what I was supposed to, where I was supposed to. And that's okay because the risk to reward on this specific setup is pretty high. So it's no big deal if I take a stop out on it. So I'm developing this confidence in my setups as of this year. I am developing. Again, I'm going to make sure I emphasize this because do not put me on a fucking pedestal. What I want you guys to do is understand that I'm at your level in the terms of I'm still developing, and I'm sharing with you right now things I'm learning that is helping me. That is the crux of this channel. That's exactly what this channel is. This channel is not about, look at all the money I make, look at all these fucking great trades. That's not what this is. This is me sharing my trading experience with you. So understand that. Okay? So anyways, so I'm upset, I'm tilted. What do? Well, there's something called the Wim Hof breathing technique. I'm actually going to pull that up right now. This Wim Hof breathing method is awesome. I love it. So here's the crux of what that is. Basically, you take a bunch of deep breaths. You breathe in and out, like, through your mouth. So it's like... And what you're doing is you're saturating yourself with a bunch of oxygen. And then you exhale after so many breaths, and you hold your breath on an exhale. Most people think you should be holding your breath on an inhale, and that's what you do when you go swimming and you're going to go under the water or whatever. But with the Wim Hof breathing, apparently there's something behind it to where you can hold your breath a lot longer when you're holding an exhale. So I didn't do a full 11 minutes of the Wim Hof breathing on this specific day. What I did was I did one set of it. So I breathed in and out 30 times, exhaled. You hold your exhale for as long as possible, and then you breathe in, deep breath, and hold for 15 seconds. And honestly, it makes me feel really good doing that. It is this tingly feeling. It makes you feel recharged. I just feel awesome. Yes, you're going to get lightheaded. You shouldn't do this when you're operating heavy machinery or standing up. Sit down. So I just sat in this computer chair because I was talking to other traders when this was happening, and I just slumped into the chair like this. And I kept closing my eyes and rubbing my head, and I'm thinking... I'm just trying to meditate. I'm trying to just do meditative breaths. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working. So I mute my mic. And then what I do is I'm like, let's do a Wim Hof breathing cycle. So I do that. And that makes me feel good. Because and I check out my Zen series. I talk a lot about meditation in that. Let me get a drink of water, so give me just a moment. So again, I talk a lot about meditation. However, when I'm feeling really upset, it's really hard to get into like a meditative state. So using this Wim Hof breathing exercise, it really helped just to feel better. So that way, when I go into a meditative state, I'm already feeling calm, and I'm not trying to get calm in the meditative state. So what I do is when I'm in a meditative state, you're breathing in and out through your nose, and you want to focus on the rise and the lower of your chest. So, and what I do is I count backwards. 10, 9, 8, 7, all the way to 1. And my mind cannot wander on that 10 count. If my mind starts to wander, and it's like, fat cat, that fucking trade, it's talking to me. It's like, fuck you. Excuse me, I burped. It's like, fuck you, chattery mind. I'm going to do 10 seconds, and you better shut the fuck up. And if you keep talking to me, I'm going to continue to do this 10 count until there's a full 10 count where you're not talking. And honestly, it took me about 5 10 counts, so a 50 count, in order to get my mind to just be quiet. So it's like 10, 9, 8, 6. Okay, well, I'll finish this cycle. Let's start over. 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to do it again. That's okay. And I don't get upset when that happens. And then finally, I nailed a 10 count where it didn't do this. And I'm feeling good. I keep my eyes closed. I keep breathing. And when I'm breathing, I'm calm now. I'm calm. I feel better. Okay, I've disconnected the markets. Whatever's happening doesn't fucking matter. And it's really hard for traders to disconnect from the market. I know it is. It's like trying to fucking just take fucking nails out of a piece of wood. Right? It's like, because I'm going to miss something. I need to get my money back. No, I'm like, fuck it. I don't even care, because you know what? I know at this point in my trading career that if I was just to do something, it's not going to work. It's going to get worse. I've done that song and dance so many fucking times that I know it doesn't work. What's the fucking point? So, but anyways, I'm calm after this meditative breathing. So what I'm doing at this point is I start to visualize everything I just showed you. Everything, I'm envisioning it like I am looking at the monitor. So imagine you watch me take those trades live, and imagine that was you taking those trades. How would you feel? Well, you would be upset. So I'm imagining exactly what we just watched. In my mind, I'm seeing the DOM, I'm seeing the DOM, I'm seeing the trade go in, I'm seeing it fail. I start to feel the tilt, the burning inside of my chest. I'm feeling it, but I'm calm. I'm calm, and then it just goes away. It fizzles down. It goes away. Okay? I'm calm. I feel better. Let's just keep thinking about it. And this is a method I got through Dr. Brent Steenbarger. I suggest you guys watch this video here. It's posted on S&B Capital. Check it out, because I listened to this multiple times a few weeks ago or whenever it came out. And he mentions how this getting in a meditative state and visualizing things that bother you, this is something that is used for people with PTSD. And what you're doing is you're basically training the subconscious mind that when you see a trigger that gets you tilted, you're training your subconscious mind to be calm in that moment. So that way you can keep the blood flow in the part of the brain that does all the logical thinking. And Dr. Brent Steenbarger, he actually mentions that this is a skill if you continue to practice it. Okay, it's like working out. If you go to the gym, you're not getting ripped in one session or 1 week. You have to continue to do this. This is what makes trading so fucking difficult. Is this emotional, psychological thing that all of you suffer from in your trading, unless you're a fucking monster and you're a robot. But like, most of you are going to suffer from these issues, and you got to continue to do this shit. And that's when you see the real benefit. And I used to do this type of thing at the end of the day. But for some reason, I decided to do it in the middle of the session, because at this point, I'm defeated, and it's like, well, let's just try something, right? Let's try something. And I find, and this is, I had a trading revelation. Like right now, and these recordings, I have a trading revelation, because I came back and fucking crushed it. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't the greatest day P&L wise, but I was green. And I wasn't barely green either. I was green pretty good. But I came back and I turned it around, and I just had this revelation. I'm like, you know what? Don't do this shit at the end of the day. Don't do this shit on a lunch break. Do it now. Because as soon as, and this is fucking crazy, and we're about to check this out, as soon as I came out of that meditative state, this is what was happening. As you can see, more of this chop developed, right? This is, what was it? Where did I, like it came back up in here and it started to bang around. I believe this is where I actually disconnected, somewhere in here. So between all of this, I'm disconnected. This is a 30-second chart, so it's going relatively quickly. I don't remember per se, but this is what happened. This area got chopped. And when this happens, I have a technique for that. I'm not going to explain it right now or in this video. But we came back up and we probed it. And then it just started to cycle sideways, started to really build this profile up. And then I come to, and as soon as I open my eyes right about here. And I'm watching this thing. Just to watch it. No intentions of doing anything. And I'm watching it creep up, and I'm like, oh, this is actually where I would want to actually get short. It's tapping into 93. This is the precise level I'd want to be trading. And it's stalling. There's a big offer that just came in. So I'm thinking, it's stalling here. And it's really hesitating to get up here. The volume isn't super heavy now, and it just pulled down really quickly. And it just rotated the price to the tick. And I find when specific areas I'm trying to trade are rotated to the tick, I find those to be the better setups. And that's the thing, when there's high amounts of volatility, sometimes I have to wait for the specific price I want to trade. I got to let it just get violated multiple times. And then at some point, especially when it's trading neutral, like you're seeing here, where it's like chopping, you're starting to see this neutral here. Sometimes I have to wait for my level to get traded through multiple times. Don't do shit in high volatility environments. And then at some point, once it touches what I want to the tick, then I start to consider striking. And that's what I start doing here. I'm like, this looks like a good setup. Notice how the mouse just flips across the fucking screen here. It's all the way down here. I'm just watching this thing. And I'm thinking, this is it. And I'm really calm at this point. Yes, it's going through me a little bit. And look, do you see how I want to go cancel my stop? But I stopped myself. That's good. I didn't do it, but I'm like, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. So I'm sitting in here, and it looks good. Like, order flow-wise, it looks good. That's not cool. Yeah, it's bouncing up. It's top ticking. This liquidity comes in here, and the market's not rushing it. And I'm looking at this thing, and it just has the right feel in the order flow. And it's working at this point. Literally, I come out of this state of mind where, like, I meditated all that shit, the breathing techniques. Yes, it's coming back into me. Boom. And see, this is something you can't really prepare for. That right there is luck. And that's good. And then here we go. And then what I start to do is I'm being patient with it, because when you get into bigger trades or holds, you have to be patient. And what I start to do here is I start to scale. I'm like, you know what? Let's scale. Because here's a real issue that I've had in the past. When you take several losses in a row, you start to become more greedy, and you try to hold on to wins a lot longer because you're trying to recoup what you just lost, even though it really you shouldn't be doing that, and doesn't even matter, to be honest with you. So part of me was feeling a little greedy, like, let's hold this as much as possible. But then I'm like, you know what? Let's just scalp it. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Okay. So let's look at getting ready. Scale out right there. So I just rewound this a little bit. I had to kind of reference something. But anyways, let's continue to look at this. Let's look at this scale out. Again, it can't be greedy. Let's take something out, and this is the point of control. This VWAP. Let's go ahead and get something out here. So it's syncing. It's really good, but it's hesitating. So what I do is I go for that, cancel this, just take the one lot off. Okay. And then the next scale out is going to be in the next minute. So let's continue to watch how this pans out. Because look how it's just hesitating on 90. This is a point of control. This is a psych level. In theory, it should go lower. I know that when you're at a point of control like this, you do need to be patient. That's good. So this is what I'm expecting on it. Take another one off right there at 87.75. Okay, because this is sort of the bottom of a value zone of this curve. So if you look at this curve, this would be like the bottom of the value zone. So it makes sense because it could bounce here. And then this is what happens on the rest of the trade. So I'm going to go in the future. Okay, so what's happening here is we're a few more minutes in the future at this point. The trade is pulling back up. It's pulling back on rapid buying. Still haven't taken anything off. Okay. Still being patient and hold it. Now watch this. We will be seeing me take off in about a minute, a few seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know. It's coming back. Still holding it. Coming back on a lot of buying, very vertical. It could come up and then start to roll back in. I'm getting ready to pull it. Getting ready to pull it here. Try to get out for a break even. Can't get the break even. Can't even get out for the 2-tick loss. Boom. Stopped out on those last 2 ticks. Sometimes that happens where I'm chasing the trade up and I just get stopped out. But you know what? The trade made $212.50. So those wins being a lot larger covered for that. So it wasn't a losing trade. I wish I could have got out of it a lot sooner than that. Didn't happen. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. What can you do about it? So now what we're going to do is, that was a win. That was a win. That helped chip away at some of those losses I took earlier in the video. And what happened is, even though that happened, I don't feel good about how those last 2 lots came out of the market. But you know what? Whatever. I'm chipping away at the hole. Okay, I'm digging my way out. And from this point forward, while I don't take any massive trades, I start to take good trade after good trade. And I honestly, with how that happened, I actually felt good about it. Even though I don't like the way the last 2 lots came off, I still feel good about that, right? It's like, okay, well, you know what? We're coming out of the hole. So I start to take trades roughly about that size, smaller trades than that. And again, I'm not trying to micro scalp or any of that. My trading's evolving to these bigger holds. So I'm getting into really good setups from this point forward. Not really hitting any fat wins most of the time. Hitting these big runs doesn't happen. So, I'm always scaling out, getting paid, trying to hold my core position for the ultimate target. So as the day progresses, I'm just chipping away at this. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and look at when I start to get into the big trade, the 71 tick run. So let me pull this up. Now let's take a look. So again, this is later in the day. We've come down a lot more. And we started to rotate here off second deviation. And then some other stuff was happening contextually. And what I ended up doing was getting long at 75.50 because of the way the market was behaving in here. On the tape, the way that second deviation held to the tick down here. And the way it was sort of kind of coming back up. So I get long here. But here we go to this yellow box. This, in theory, is a pullback trade. And this is more of an A-plus setup than what happened down here where I'm long. And this video is long enough. I'm not going to go over this trade. I want to go over the bigger one, the more important one. Otherwise, this video would be like fucking 5 hours long or 3 hours. I don't know. But I'm getting flat here. And I'm going to get, even though it's coming up really quickly, I'm going to get flat here because I want to re-enter a short here because this is a more A-plus setup. So what you're going to see me do is I'm starting to get out. I mark it out right there because it just kind of zooms in so quick. Watch that again. I try to cue it. It just dunks so quick, so I mark it out. It's a relatively good win. What would that be at? So when I'm hitting a market order, it came out at like 77.50, I believe. So you know what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ticks. Because you're about to see me take a stop out, but this stop out doesn't bother me. Because this trade covers for it and other trades I took earlier in the session. So I'm getting short here. Now that honestly was kind of a mistake. Well, actually it's not. Now that I'm looking at it. Again, this is the first time I'm reviewing it. It hit exactly where I wanted it to, and it's starting to sell off. So theoretically it has that pullback to it that I want. Kind of had to go for it because this could have been something where it just touches this area once and then rolls off. So I get short there. Big liquidity comes on my entry. I don't really, not super excited about that. Nobody's taking it either. There it goes. That's good. But then it starts floating back up. So now it's starting to float the entry. It should be selling off. So if I'm to get into a trade again, when it's coming in somewhere really quickly, I don't want to immediately fade it. I want to hit it when it's starting to pull back down. So yeah, this is, now that I'm really looking at it, yeah, this was a good idea to take this trade. But it should be going, and it shouldn't be stalling at this point. Because if it's stalling, that's telling me it might start to come in to these levels and start chopping and hitting it. Now I got liquidity on the offer side. That's not good. I don't really like that because that might be, somebody might want to take it because this is rollover. So people are trying to roll into the next contract. So people are going to be throwing out liquidity in all sorts of places, just trying to, and other traders are going to want that liquidity. So when I see that, I don't like seeing large size near my entry because the market most of the time seems like it goes there and takes it essentially. So just watching it very carefully. This is good. This is good. It's selling. But it's coming back. Selling. It's just pulling. But it's not big selling. This is all retail shit. And then you got bigger buyers hitting. So it's like, okay, well, let's get the fuck out of there. So it's like, okay, let's get out of this deal. because this isn't good. This should be going. This entry might start to get chopped. I re-enter because what I'm looking at, this re-entry was a bit aggressive. Okay, I honestly, I'm looking at it from a hindsight perspective, but what I'm realizing is first standard deviation is here, so also this level as well is right here. So what's happening is I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, sometimes when you have a bunch of levels close to each other, what will happen is it'll pull in, test this level up here, and then it'll pull back in and then test this first standard deviation band. And that's what I'm thinking just happened. So that's why I'm re-entering it on a short. And honestly, yeah, in hindsight, this is going to stop me out and it's not a good idea. But really, it's not a shitty trade because at the moment, I realize this could be pulling back into that deviation band. And this is an A+ setup. I need to be fighting more aggressively for this. When I have an A+ setup that potentially has a lot of reward on the table, I'm going to be more adamant about being very aggressive and taking 3-4 tries in that area at times. Now, if it's something that's not A+, like down here when you saw that long at the beginning of the video, that's not A+. I'm not going to be as aggressive and take as many shots on it. So, I re-enter it. And again, trade management's never perfect. It's starting to juke down. So, yeah, I mean, looking at it, yeah, that was a good attempt. Again, this is my first time reviewing this since I traded this. So, like, it's hard to recall until I see it again. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why I did that. So, I'm trying to get out. Oh, it looks like I break even. What's up, guys? I just want to share a quick personal story about something that's going on in my life, and I apologize if the camera is shaking, because there is a cat on the trading room roof right now licking his butthole, and every time he licks his butthole, the camera shakes because the camera is attached to the roof, and if I want to get him down just to make this video, I gotta go get a ladder from somewhere, and I gotta get up there, and the trading roof has this much distance between the real roof of the house, and I gotta get in there and dig him out, and he might scratch my Sunday best, and I'm trying to wear this suit to look nice for you, because I want to ask for your help. As you guys probably noticed, I've been uploading to YouTube on a far more frequent basis. I'm thoroughly passionate about sharing trading content. I really do enjoy this, but uploading to YouTube is starting to become a full-time gig at this point. Hey, come on, keep it down up there. God, I love my cats. I love my kitties, but damn it, I'm trying to make a video. All right, please stop. Like, this is gonna benefit both of us. Anyways, as this becomes a full-time job, I gotta realistically get paid for this. And quite frankly, the ad revenue through YouTube is not enough. So what I'm doing is I'm asking for your help here. If you really enjoy the content I'm making, please consider donating to my Ko-fi page below. It's strictly a donation. It's a, hey, thanks for doing this. And the minimum donation is $3. What you got to understand is it's about 400 views just to get paid $3. And my channel is relatively small right now, so I could use all the help possible so I could continue to do this and not get burnt out on it, because I got to get paid for this. And it's its own thing. If I'm going to take on another job other than trading, I've got to get paid for this. Anyways, back to the video. So that would be, what, the second break even on the trade. Let's continue to watch it. Thought I was going to actually get stopped out on it. It's selling off. It's just being really goofy right here. But you notice how I'm not chasing it further down. I'm just being patient because at this point it seems like it's trying to shove its way back in. Okay, guys, I just rewound the video slightly. I just wanted to reference timestamps to see how much longer this would go on and exactly what trades I'm taking, because I was a bit confused here. But the next trade is going to be at 10:22, so in about a minute or so. So you've not missed anything. I just had to reference some time stamps. So let's continue to watch how this pans out. I'm being very patient on the deal. Very good about that. You can see that sometimes 5 lots or 8 lots are coming in and clearing the bids and offers. So the book is very thin in certain areas. It's behaving in a very jumpy manner. And at this point, and this is what I'm thinking. We hit first standard deviation. There's some other contextual shit that's happening in here. We hit this area, and I need to be getting short here, but my attempts at getting short here is not working, and it's embedding and banging into this. So part of my thinking is, are we going to start to come back up in this yellow boxed area? Because this day had it was a wider neutral day. If we was to zoom out of this chart, you would see that it was just a larger neutral curve. So my thinking is maybe this is the tail end of it. Maybe we're going to be breaking back in the value. Because these shorts aren't working very well. I have all this other contextual stuff. Let's see how it pans out. The buying is really high at this point. I go for it, and that was very aggressive. That was very, very aggressive. And I see why I took that trade, to be honest with you. And it just immediately receded in. And it's stalling here, which sucks. 2 of the 4 lots get taken out, and then I market out the rest of it. So that was very aggressive. I see why I did that, because the tape was good. We're breaking into here. This could be it. And again, this is aggressive. I should be letting it breach in and then pulling back. But at this point, I'm holding it because I'm thinking that maybe this first standard deviation band will hold. And now I'm going to wait. Like, what is this doing? Because this might end up just chopping here and going sideways. And I do find that when you're trading a specific area, sometimes it starts chopping that area and you just don't get the clean entry you want off of it. And when that happens, I am going to get a little fucked up on it. So I have to start to just wait and let the market just talk to me a little bit longer and see what it's going to say. And that's exactly what's happening here. While this plays out, I'm going to look at a reference for when I'm getting into this at 10:23. So I'm about to re-enter this. So this price, this 78.50, I'm watching 78.50 very carefully because this is the exact price I want to be in at it. And it's coming back up again. Go for it. And look at the way it kind of, this whole deal pans out. So this is right where I take the stop out, which is okay because the trade we saw at the beginning of the video paid for this, plus a small win, right? Watching 78.50, and this tape keeps pushing and pushing, and it's stalling here, and it's probing lower, and it probed lower very aggressively here, but we're just not getting the selling. And it's stalling right where I wanted to. A larger bid comes in. Nobody's taking it. And then it starts to go up from this point forward. I'm going to continue to hold this. And this is the beginning of the 71 tick win. Let's continue to watch this. And while that happens, I want to look at it. I was in the trade for an hour and 41 minutes from this point forward. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of watch this trade, and that's okay. A pullback is fine. Theoretically, this is where I should have got in. Is I should have let it pop in and pull back. Like I was saying, that other entry was very aggressive. This one was aggressive as well. This is where I should have been getting in, but I'm okay. And I'm not going to panic because I do expect some sort of pullback at this point. Holds beautifully. Spikes up. And then it does get sort of choppy and embedded here. While this pans out, I'm going to go ahead and start looking at when the next first scale out is. So it's going to be at 1027. So let's go ahead and just fast forward in the future. Okay, guys, we're slightly in the future. As you can see, it's still churning in here. It's chopping. There's this line right here. This is an RTH first standard deviation band. It's getting hung up under that. So I do expect it to be turbulent in this area. But anyways, this is where I'm going to be considering scaling out at this point. And I'm about to take a trade-off at 1027, which is going to be here in the next minute or so. So let's kind of continue to watch this as it pans out here. And there should be some stops getting trapped up here and down below as well, you would think. But this isn't moving the way I would be hoping. But see how it just shot up relatively quickly? That's a good sign. And then you're being supported by decent size buying at this point. There we go. There's a huge liquidity zone here. And this is just running really, really rampantly. And then it's getting stuck right up here. A lot of these orders started to pull, but it's starting to reload and absorb right there. Just peeking through, but it's not quite getting through. So let's go ahead and take one off. And got one off right here. It ended up being a market order. Just the way it was kind of coming up and just stalling. So now let's go ahead and look at the next exit, which is at 1043. So we got to go way up in the future at this point. Okay, guys, we're in the future. You're about to see the next scale out point here. I believe I'm going to start trying to take this next trade off at VWAP. So let's kind of play it out. I should be taking it off. It just turned 1043. So in the next 25 seconds or so, I should be getting out of this. So she's creeping up. And as you can see, a lot sort of happened between now and when we last look at the entry. It came back in. This RTH for standard deviation held the trade, which is really good. And here I go, getting out of it. There we go, right under the VWAP on the RTH session. But as you can see, even though it was pulling back on me, I held. Always try, when it's running this far, again, I'm looking for targets to scale out. VWAP is definitely one at times. Let's go ahead and go to 1046, so the next 3 minutes or so, and look at the next scale out. Okay, guys, here we are. So I should be taking this next scale out. So this is going to be the point of control. This is 90. This also could be an area that rolls. And as we can see, it's hitting it. There we go. We get through it. Good buying on the tape. So that's really solid. What am I looking for on this scale out? I don't know if... No, I don't get out of point of control. I believe I actually hit this side of the yellow square, which is the ultimate target. So I will be getting out... We have about 42 seconds from this point forward when I decide to start cutting this trade. And let's continue to watch it as she plays out. Getting very close to the target, which is in the 93s. Continuing to watch this. Really not much volume coming in. Shoving up. That's a good shove right there. So I'm coming to measure to see exactly what price I want to get out at, and that's 93. It's hesitating. It's close enough. Let's take it off at 92.50. Okay, so as you can see, like, I'm trying to get from one side of this yellow box to the next, and really the risk to reward on this specific trade is fan-fucking-tastic. So as you can see, this is why taking this specific setup is, I'm going to be aggressive on it. So let's go ahead and look at the final scale out point. All right, guys, here we are. The last scale out we looked at was at 1046. This is 1204 at this point. So this last lot was left on for a very long time. As you can see, we banged up here multiple times. This is where we took that last scale out we looked at. Market came really close to, well, not super close, but it came back pretty far on that last lot. I held firm on it. It's the core position. And I'm glad I did, to be honest with you, because it ended up rotating. I figured there might be some areas down here where it would rotate, and it started to actually do that. So as you can see, have a target setting out there. Ideally, I want to get out at 700, but what I do is I'm waiting. And what we're going to see is in about the next minute or so, I pull this last lot off. So let's kind of just watch it here. And you can see that, I mean, this is the lunch hour for me. As you can see, the volume is just creeping at this point. And again, we'll be out of this trade here in just a little bit. Again, so I told you I wanted to milk it to ETH. At this point, ETH, first standard deviation, at this point, I'm thinking, you know what, maybe 700 is on the table. But at this point, you know what, I decide I'm just going to cut it because it's hitting a really solid area. And there we go. So just like that, that one specific trade erased those stop outs in the beginning of this video. And it also made pretty good profits. But you also have to understand, between this specific trade and those other stop outs I took, I did take some other nice little wins. Anyways, again, the importance of this video is handling tilt in the middle of a trading session, and then hopefully this is a good case study to show you what can happen if you're able to manage your tilt, be aware of it, and do something about it. Because I managed to turn the fucking day around. And I was not 100%. I was not 100% at the beginning of this session. Obviously, as this session progressed, I started to feel better and better and better. Obviously, when I did the meditation and the Wim Hof breathing, I felt better. But I hope this shows you guys the importance of, first and foremost, being patient and waiting for what you're supposed to wait for. Because that's what I was doing. Very sloppy on some other trades, right? But hopefully this shows you the importance of being patient. And don't let that tilt take over and eat away at you. And you guys need to do something. You have to do something so that way it doesn't get out of control. Because I can tell you this. If this was probably a year ago, I would have definitely fucked this day up. And again, I've said this. I am a developing trader. And this is a prime fucking example showing you guys my progress and my trading and how I am developing. You watch every video in this channel in chronological order. Is that how you say that word? If you watch every video on my channel, which I don't suggest because that's a lot. I mean, do it. It's my channel. I can't believe I said don't watch my channel. If you watch every video in order, you will see development. but this is me showing you revelation in my trading. Do this in the middle of a session. Don't reflect on the session at the end of the day. Do it when it's fresh, because you can turn it around. This was a historical day in my trading, and it just made my confidence go through the roof, and it just made me feel better that when things aren't looking so good, that's okay, because you can turn it around. And I'll tell you one thing I didn't tell you. When I was in that meditative state, reliving all this shit, I told myself, your trades have statistical edge. It's okay. It just like it happened. It came out of nowhere. Something told me that. And it just made me feel good. And I didn't think I would turn this day around. I'll be honest with you. I was expecting not to turn it around. I was expecting to be under, to be red. But this is a powerful thing. You must understand. You must understand this. You have to do something when you're being tilted. You have to build awareness in your trading, because if you don't, you're not going to evolve the way you want, because we know what we're supposed to be doing as traders, most of us, unless you're newer, you're still learning. But at some point in the trading, the psychological aspect becomes the real limiting factor in your trading. That's the one thing that will really fuck you, and it happens to everybody. And I keep saying it over and over, you got to do something about it. And I hope this was a great fucking case study. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments if you liked it. Subscribe to this channel, please. Because I'm doing awesome shit. I give you guys some of the best content you're going to see on YouTube. I know what I provide is really good. And the more support I get from you guys, the more momentum I have, the more this can go. The more videos I'll end up doing, you know what I mean? So hopefully you guys got something out of this. Hopefully you guys are learning, and hopefully you guys are getting better off of this. Hopefully you guys want to put something in place to get better, essentially is what I'm trying to say. At least one of you. Hopefully this helped one of you out there. Anyways, again, this video is pretty long. I told you I would continue to do long videos. Here's one with great stuff, losses, heartache, a win. Honestly, the way this trading session reminds me is like those movies with a sports team, and they're playing the final game, and they're getting their asses handed to them, and then the coach has a pep talk, and then they come back strong and crush it. That's exactly what this fucking trading session reminded me of. But anyways, have a good one, guys.